Sometimes when I'm feeling bad, I like to do things that make me feel better. So that's one of my tips for the world. Listen, things aren't always going to be great in the world. You got to wake up and put one foot in front of the other and one leg in your pants at a time, unless you're wearing a skirt, which is like one giant pant leg, ladies or gentlemen too. But listen, you got to open up your eyes, and the first thing you got to say to the world when you wake up is, listen, insert coin here. You're gonna wake up and you're going to get yourself together, and you're going to go to work, or if you don't work, you're going to go to another building that allows public people like yourself, if you're not employed, or maybe you're employed and you work later in the day, but you just get up earlier and you do your errands, maybe before you go to work. But like, say you go to Target or something, and you go with a friend, and you have your coffee or a drink. You just let them know, like, hey, hold this while I go in the bathroom, because you don't want to take your drink in the bathroom, because that's the airborne particles and what have you, because that's gross. Just have them hold that. Like, here, hold this for a second. I want to take on the day after this maneuver. And then when you get out of the bathroom at Target, take on the day. Now, you don't have to go to Target to take on the day. You don't have to do any of that. But you can take on the day from your comfort of your own home, or your job. But listen, after you insert that coin here, or you have the world insert your coins, you can take on the day, and it's easier to do it that way. But, a lot of the things that I do to insert joy into my life include the following. I find it's best to confuse people and make them wonder if I'm being serious or if I'm being not serious. I'll talk to people and then I'll make them feel uncomfortable. That's sometimes fun, and it's best when you don't know the person. If you're talking to someone for the first time and they're like, oh, this gentleman seems like a nice guy, and then you throw them off. You're like, well, you seem like a nice guy, but you're kind of an asshole. And they're like, wow, that seemed like an inappropriate thing to say. And you're like, well, I was just kidding. Maybe. And then that guy's always going to think, well, I don't. That guy was kind of uncomfortable. But then the guy that knows you and is like, well, Jeremy didn't mean that. And then the other guy's like, I don't know. I don't know if I like that guy. And everyone's like, oh, he's funny. And then, but is Jeremy funny? I don't know. But the thing is what makes me tick. I like coffee. That's good. Not a lot of people like coffee anymore. I mean, it sells well, but that could be for a lot of reasons. Things have been different for a long time now. About 30 years ago, I couldn't do this. You can do things that you couldn't do now that you could do a long time ago. But that's going to change here shortly, I think. It's snowing right now. But anyway, I was getting at it is you got to be positive, and I was negative for a really long time, but that changed because now I'm a lot more positive in life. I think You got to insert humor into you. You can insert humor where you insert your coins. That's a thing you can do. And I want to go back to where you called that guy an asshole. I don't think you should call people an asshole. You can confuse people other ways other than calling them names. And if I could go back and edit that part of the video, I would. I don't think you should call anyone an asshole. And I apologize to a person that I called an asshole. I don't know if I've ever done that. I'm sure I have. But I just want everyone to know that it's okay to cry. And I want everyone to go home right now and cry. You might, the people that aren't watching this video, that are coming home to people that are crying, you might feel strange to see the people crying, and you might wonder, why are these people crying in my house? And no, just listen, it's a tool. Listen, write a note before you start crying to let the people know that nothing's wrong, because they might get the wrong idea of why you're crying, and then you might feel better. And one of the things I did when I was a kid, I like to think of things that I did when I was a kid, and now that I'm old, I'm 30 years old now. That means I've been living for 30 years. That's longer than people that are 20 have been alive. And one of the things that I like to do now is look back at the things that I did when I was a kid. I used to talk to trees, but one of the things that I used to do when I was a kid was what did I do? I used to build card houses of cards, is what they call them now. But I used to look at houses of cards and build them from memory, and then I would pretend that I had. Well, I didn't pretend I was. I used to build the card houses, and then I would smack them down, and then I used to go, "Oh, should have sprung for some stronger material there, idiots." And I used to, because they build their card houses. I mean, why would you build your houses out of playing cards? I mean, that sounds like poor planning. And then I would, those little pieces of rye bread you can get for like Christmas parties and little things. I used to pretend that I had giant hands. I have small hands in real life, but I used to pretend I have giant hands, and then I would go, "Oh, these sandwiches can never satisfy me." But I mean, technically they couldn't, but I just like to pretend my hands are bigger because I had very small hands.